ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यनामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. So today we are beginning our Bhakti Vaibhav class with the first canto, first chapter, first verse. So we are not discussing the preface and the introduction, which is itself a huge introduction. Prabhupada has described the whole life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so we'll not go into all that details. So we'll directly go into the first chapter. Start. Okay, so this is what Srila Prabhupada he writes in the second verse of this chapter. If you read Srimad Bhagvatam, then immediately you'll realize God. That is the potency of Srimad Bhagvatam. And last time we discussed in great details, the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, how this Bhagavatam is very, very important in the life of a sadhaka, in the life of a practicing devotee. So this is the overview of entire Bhagavatam, and we discussed last time how this Bhagavatam is compared with the body of Krishna. Every limb of Krishna is compared to certain cantos. So that is what is put on the slide. So all these slides are prepared by Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith devotees, headed by Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. So this is the overview of the first canto. I will go into the detail in some time. Just have a look at it. So now we'll be beginning the first chapter with first verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So in this chapter, which is entitled Question by the Sages, so this first canto is entitled as Creation. So although technically speaking, the creation comes in the second canto, but Srila Prabhupada he has put this the name of this canto also as Creation, because that's how the Bhagavatam starts. So Sarga is the first topic of Bhagavatam. That's why Srila Prabhupada has put this name of this canto as Creation. So in this chapter, Vyasadeva he starts with the prelude, the subject. What is the subject matter of this book? What are the glories of this book? And what is the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam? And then he will set the scene so that we can delve into this most pristine science of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then the primary content of this chapter is the question by the sages. So the 6 questions, it will come in this verse, in this chapter. So that's how we are now beginning this Bhagavatam with this first verse. So the first verse establishes the glories and the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So we'll recite this verse. So you all can recite whatever you can. It is a little long verse, although everyone must be knowing this. जन्माद्यस्य तो अन्वयादि तरतश्च तार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि So this is the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the first three chapters of this first canto establishes the initial stages of devotional service. Then after establishing Bhakti as a supreme, in the third chapter, Sud Goswami establishes Krishna to be the Supreme Lord. After describing the Leela avatars, that there are 22 Leela avatars which are mentioned in the third chapter, and then after this he recites the famous verse, Ete cha amshakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. So this first verse, I hope most of you have got this Subodhini. If not, please take it by next class. It is very important. So in this first verse, which sets a prelude to the entire Bhagavatam. So in this first canto, we will see three sets of speakers. Okay. And although they are all elevated, but even if you see from an analytical point of view, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he classifies the three sets of speakers as Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttama. So what are the various sets of speakers and hearers which come in first canto? Anybody can tell? Who all are mentioned in this discussion? Conversation is happening between whom and who is conversing each other. First is Sud and Shaunakadi. Okay, that is the first set of speakers and hearers. Sud Goswami is speaking and Shaunakadi Rishis and Naishar they are hearing. Next. Anybody else?
Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj.
And Parikshit Maharaj comes in the end. Okay. What else? That doesn't come in. I'm talking about the first canto. Okay. Narad Muni and Vyasa. Yeah. So these are the three sets of speakers and hearers which are mentioned in the first canto. So Shaunakadi Rishis, they are considered as Kanishta hearers. Why? Because they were primarily disturbed and little disgusted, because they were trying to do the yajna for welfare of people in general. And also Bhagavatam says that Chakravarti Thakur writes that they were doing yajna because they had intention of going to Swarga. Satram Sargaya Lokaya. The verse comes Satram Sargaya Lokaya. So it also can be pronounced as Swargaya Lokaya. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that. So earlier they were interested in some material benefits of going to Swarga, but when they came in association of the great sage Romaharshan Sutta, so they get little purified by his association, by hearing from him. But because Romaharshan Sutta, he was also not a great elevated personality, so he could not go beyond that. So therefore, when they came in touch with Sutta Goswami, then their aspiration changed. So therefore, this is the Kanishta set, Shaunak and Sutta. And the sages are also involved in welfare work. They wanted to do the welfare of all the people in general. So the second speaker and hearer is Narad and Vyasa. So what happened to Vyasadeva? Why Narad spoke to him? Vyasadeva was despondent, yes. So this despondence brings Vyasadeva from, although he is a Supreme Lord's incarnation, but in this pastime, he is behaving as a Madhyamadikari personality. He does not have the highest aspiration because he is despondent. He is a little confused about it. He is not totally into, devotional service. But the highest and the best of the hearer and the speaker is Uttamadikari is Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami. Because the first and foremost qualification of the speaker and the hearer is they both should be completely renounced. They should have no material attachments. And that was the case between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj had given up everything and he had sat on the bank of Ganga. And Shukadeva Goswami was already a renounced personality. So that's why they both are the Uttama Adhikari, Uttam personalities to hear and speak. So that is how the three sets of speakers they come.
They are hearing from that level. So how come they will be Madhyavantari and
Who?
Parikshit Maharaj and
He is hearing from Shukadeva Goswami.
and again this Shukadeva was saying Shukadeva Goswami is Uttama Adhikari and Parikshit Maharaj says
He is also Uttama Adhikari. Therefore, the conversation which is happening between two devotees who are completely renounced, Atma Jaya Suta Agar Pashu Dravid Bandushu Rajye Chavikale Nityam Virudham Mamatam Jaho. He gave up everything. All the 7 types of attachment to the body, Atma, Jaya, wife, Suta, children, Agar, home, Rajya, property, Viruna, Rajye Chavikale Nityam. These are very difficult to give up. Atma, Jaya, Suta, Agar, Pashu means the vehicles, the chariot, Dravina, all the wealth, Bandhushu, the relatives, Rajya. So he gave up all that, he is renounced. And Shukadeva Goswami is already a renounced personality. When he was born, he didn't stay. He walked off. So therefore, this is the best combination. Okay. So this first verse establishes the Sambandha Gyan. Because first of all, we have to know who is this personality who is being taught in this book. So in the beginning, he offers this prayer, this prelude, and it has many facets. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives 5 explanations to this verse. If you have this Subodhini, we'll go to that in some time. So first we'll see the meaning of this verse. Janmadi asya yataha. So primeval cause of all causes of creation, maintenance and destruction is a primeval cause. Janmadi asya yataha. Whatever we see in this material creation, it is coming from him. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita says this? Everything is coming from Krishna.
Bija Pradapata.
So everything comes from Krishna. So here the same thing is described. Janmadi asya yataha. Whatever we see in this world, the creation, maintenance and destruction, everything is done by the Supreme Lord. Janmadi asya yataha. So before that, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya establishes that Krishna is the Supreme Personality and everyone else are his subordinates. So Jiva Goswami tells that this verse is actually equal to Gayatri Mantra. So he gives an elaborate explanation. He says, Om Bhur Bhuvaswa, that is the Gayatri Mantra. He says, Om represents this Janmadi Asya Yataha. Because in Bhagavad Gita 7.21, 22, 23, last section of the 17th chapter, where Om Tat Sat, these 3 words are described. So there it is described that Om represents the Supreme Lord, from whom entire creation comes. So whenever any mantra is spoken, it starts with Om to represent the Supreme Lord. So Om is Janmadi Asya Yataha. Then the next word is Anvayad Itaratascha Artheshu Abhigyaha. Anvayad means directly, Itaratascha means indirectly. So directly and indirectly, he is conscious of all the manifestations. Prabhupada gives an example how somebody is he knows everything directly or indirectly. He gives an example. Anybody can tell what is the example Prabhupada gives to tell that, oh, Krishna knows everything directly or indirectly, just like
example of king.
owner of a company knows everything. Yeah. So directly or indirectly, he may be knowing everything directly or indirectly also. So therefore he is Abhigya. Abhigya means he is all-knowing. Then third is he is Swarat. He is fully independent personality. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. he imparted this knowledge in the heart of Brahma. Tene, this personality, Brahma Rada, in the heart of Brahma, he imparted. Adi Kavi, who is the Adi Kavi? That is, who is Adi Kavi? Brahma.
Brahmaji.
Then, the way he acts, it is so very amazing. Even great devatas are put into illusion. Muhyanti, which was in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Arjuna is telling that, oh, even devatas cannot know you.
Devatas cannot
Know you. 10th chapter. Anybody? Name vidu surgana prabhavam na maharshaya aham adirhi devana maharshinam cha sarvasha. So therefore, the same thing is coming here. So even devatas are bewildered. They are also confused. Who is this personality? Brahmaji was himself bewildered. Indra was himself bewildered. So even great devatas and sages are bewildered. They are put into illusion. Just like Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Tejo Vari Mridam. Just like there are illusory representations of water which is seen in fire or land seen on water. So these are some of the illusions which we can see, or we can see water on the land where when it is not, just like mirage. So that's how some illusory things are there in this world, and we get bewildered by that. Similarly, Krishna acts in certain way which can bewilder each and every personality. Nobody is, exempted from this. Even Balramji got bewildered. In which pastime? Brahma Vyoma Lila. He could also not understand. What is this Maya? Vinimayo Muhyanti yat Surayah Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Amrisha. So only because of him do the material. I'm reading from Subodhini. Subodhini has given all the nice explanation. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of three modes appear factual. So therefore, Supreme Lord is eternal. Out of 5 things, what are the 5 subjects of Bhagavad Gita?
Kala, karma,
Out of
jiva,
these 5, which is temporary and which is eternal?
all are
Karma is temporary. All others are eternal. So this universe which comes from the Supreme Lord, which is full of 3 modes of material nature. So this world appears factual because he is the source. Rite artham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyad atmano maya yatha bhaso yathatama. This is the second Chatushloki. So Supreme Lord is telling to Brahmaji, whatever you see in this world as real, if it has not connection with me, it is not real. Because without me, nothing can exist in this world. So dravya kalasha karmascha swabhavo jivo evacha vasudevo paro anyo na cha anyo artho asti tattvataha. That is the second canto. Lord Vishnu tells dravya, kala, karma, swabhava and jiva. These are the 5 ingredients of creation. We'll discuss into that in the second canto. These are the 5 elements of creation. Dravya, Kala, Karma, Swabhava and Jiva. Everything is coming from Vasudeva. So that's what is described here. Yatra Tri Sargo, entire universe appears factual because it is coming from him. But we should not think that, oh, this material world is created, maintained and destroyed. Supreme Lord is also like that? No. Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam. He is always situated in his Dham. His Dham is not affected by the manifestations of this universe. He is always transcendental. That Dham is free of illusion. Chintamani Pragara Sadmashu. All the Brahma Samhita describes. Satyam Param Dhimahi. So I am meditating on that Supreme Lord, that absolute truth. So we'll be discussing some of the technical details of the purport. So just bear with us for some time because this verse is technical. Whatever you can understand, please do it. Otherwise, don't worry. Test में जो भी आएगा हम लोग बता देंगे. This is the extra. Yeah, when we start discussing some technical things, everybody has this. Ruji ये सब exam में आएगा क्या? So in this verse, Janmadi Asya Yataha. So Lord is established as the primary cause. So there are three causes of creation: the Upadana Karana, Nimitta Karana, and third one is okay, Upadana and Nimitta. They are the two, and the third is also included into Upadana. So just take the example of a pot, clay pot. So if somebody is making a clay pot, there are three things: the material, the potter's wheel, and the potter, right? So the clay is required, potter's wheel is required, and the person is required. So the potter's wheel and the clay, they are the Upadana Karan. They are the ingredient cause. Yeah, third is ingredient cause. And the potter is the instrumental cause. Okay. So these are some technical details of creation. That somebody may say, Lord may be the cause, but he is not the primary cause. Creation, nature is the primary cause. Some people say God is nature, God is light, God is love. They have different understandings. So Prakriti is the immediate cause. Prakriti is not the ultimate cause. Ultimate cause is Krishna, the Supreme Personality. That's why he is called as Janmadi Asya Yataha. Everything is coming from the Supreme Lord. So that is what is described in this verse. So we'll see the purport also side by side, what Prabhupada writes. So in the first paragraph of this purport, a huge purport Prabhupada writes, and in the exam you'll have to write not entire purport. You have to just make a summary of this purport and present it. Whatever the salient points Srila Prabhupada has given in these purports. When I was studying, I also made this. Abhi tak hai. So in this paragraph, first paragraph, Prabhupada writes, Srila Vyasadeva asserts herein that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and he quotes from Jiva Goswami. He has written Sandarbha, Shad Sandarbha. One of that is Krishna Sandarbha. And in that, he establishes the supremacy of Krishna. So Prabhupada is quoting various scriptures like Samaved. He quotes Bhagavad Gita. And he establishes that Krishna is the Supreme Personality. Then in the next paragraph, so first paragraph is basically the explanation of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That is explained in the first paragraph. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Who is Krishna? He is a Supreme Personality. That is explained in the first paragraph. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He quotes from Padma Puran, he quotes from Bhagavad Gita, Samaved, Brahma Samhita, Krishna Sandarbha. He quotes all these scriptures. And then in the second paragraph, he describes Janmadi Asya Yataha. So Prabhupada writes, somebody can read this paragraph, second paragraph.
Vasudeva, our Lord Sri Krishna, is the cause of all causes. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. How this is so is explained in later chapters of this work. This work is described by Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya as the spotless Puran because it contains the transcendental narration of the personality of God as Sri Krishna. The history of the Srimad Bhagvatam is also very glorious. It was compiled by Sri Vyasadeva after he had attained maturity in transcendental knowledge. He wrote this under the instruction of Sri Naradji, his spiritual master. Vyasadeva compiled all Vedic literatures containing the four divisions of the Vedas, the Veda, Sutras, the Brahma Sutras, or the Puranas, the Mahabharata, and so on. But nevertheless, he was not satisfied. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and thus Narada advised him to write on the transcendental activities of Lord Sri Krishna.
Okay. So in this paragraph, Prabhupada is describing how Vasudeva is the Supreme Lord, and then he gives the history of Srimad Bhagavatam also, how Narad Muni, he chastised Vyasadeva. Jugupstam dharma krite anusashata subhava raktasya mahan vyatikrama. You have done a most abominable activity. So that's how Bhagavatam begins. So this is of utmost importance that the author himself is recommending that this is the best book to be read. Although he has written all the various types of scriptures, all the Vedas, Puranas, Itihas, but he is himself recommending that this is the best book. If the author is not satisfied, how can the reader be satisfied? So author became satisfied only by reading after writing Bhagavatam. Actually, he had written Bhagavatam already. It was not that after Vyasadeva chastised him, he wrote Bhagavatam. He just edited it. So it was already written, but he edited it again and presented in the way which we are reading now. It was already written. So Bhagavatam, as we discussed last time also, it is a personality and it reciprocates with the mood of the reader. So we are not here to seek scholarship from Bhagavatam. We'll become scholars of Bhagavatam by reading all these purports. We are here to develop friendship with Bhagavatam. We are here to develop the friendship with characters of Bhagavatam. Because ultimately, that's what we are reading Bhagavatam, so that we can apply these teachings of the characters of Bhagavatam in our life. So Bhagavatam should not be read in the mood of conquest. It should be read in the mood of request. We are here to request Lord to please give us the intelligence, to take our intelligence from material to spiritual. So that's what we are here for. And that's what author is recommending here. Kimva parairishwara. What is the use of any other scripture? That's what it will say in the next verse. Kimva parairishwara. What is the use of any other scripture? Then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes that the philosophical mind wants to know the origin of creation. That's why all the scientists, they are working so very hard to find what is the creation, how does it begin. So Prabhupada writes all that. At modern science, they are throwing satellites in the space, thinking that they will find out something, but they cannot find even the extent of this universe, what to speak of the spiritual world. Then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, in the Vedic scriptures, it is said that Supreme Lord is the chief among all personalities. Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. So if we see the purports of Bhagavatam, Prabhupada in many places paraphrases some of the verses. He writes just the translations of the purport of the various verses of Bhagavatam. So we should train ourselves to see, okay, which verse is this? Most of the time we'll see that. And Prabhupada just paraphrases some of the verses of Bhagavatam or some other scriptures. So that's how we have to train our intelligence to see, okay, which verse Prabhupada is translating here. He's the chief among all the personalities. Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. And then he says, he is an individual, but the Supreme Lord, he has the greatest intelligence and he possesses supermost inconceivable energies. So he's a Supreme Lord. And then Prabhupada writes that, man's brain, if it can produce small satellite which is thrown in the space, so what is the big deal in for Krishna to create such huge planetary systems? So why scientists, they can't agree that, everything is created by God? So Prabhupada goes into that mood again. Prabhupada was very strong against two people, Mayavadis and scientists. कभी भी गाली दे सकते हैं हम लोग. One time, I think Bhavanand was telling, Prabhupada in the last days, he was in Vrindavan, he had fever, middle of the night, 2 o'clock, he is, half asleep. And in the dream, he starts speaking that, we should challenge these scientists. How can they say that, the universe has come from matter? That is happening in the middle of the night in heavy fever. And then after speaking few lines, again, he goes to sleep. So that was Prabhupada. He was made of preaching. So one of the, I think Prabhupada was speaking to one devotee. And he said, actually, I didn't want to come here. So Bhavanand Prabhu is telling, So he was talking to Bhavan. He said, I didn't want to come here. So he was not talking about going to America. He was talking about coming to this material world. He said, I didn't want to come here, but Krishna just told me, you go and write some books and I'll arrange everything for you. Don't worry. So that's what he has done. He has written so many books and he established the superiority and the supremacy of Supreme Lord Krishna. So Prabhupada writes, Srila Vyasadeva, he accepts supreme intelligence as Parameshwar. In Bhagavad Gita, it says that there is no other Paratattva than himself. Which verse says this? There is no other. Matta Parataram Nanyatya. There is nothing greater than me. And then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, unscrupulous persons go immediately on the 10th canto. So basically in the introduction, so we didn't go into the introduction. Prabhupada very nicely describes that one should not jump into the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. We should systematically go through 9 cantos. Actually, he writes in the preface. If you see the preface, it is amazing, masterpiece. So I think we can read the preface also, which is because Prabhupada is giving the very much prominent importance of what is the need of Srimad Bhagavatam. Each and every line of this preface is amazing. It will not come in our syllabus, but still we should read it. It is very, very important. We must know the present need of the society, and Prabhupada is making this presentation in a very secular way so that anybody can be attracted to this Bhagavatam. What is this Bhagavatam? What role it has to play in my life? I am not a spiritual person. Even if you're not a spiritual, this Bhagavatam will make an ideal society. Prabhupada is, creating such a wonderful presentation here. We must know the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is towards one state or one human society. Ideals of spiritual communism, Prabhupada is using a nice word, spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, nay, of the entire energy of the living beings. So therefore, if somebody practices the teachings of Bhagavatam, then there can be a unity in the world. Because people, they have different ideologies, different ways of thinking, and they want to make one nation. But it is not possible to combine. They wanted to make united nations. But nations can never be united if they have different ideology. Only if everybody has one ideology, then they can come under one umbrella. That is presented by Srimad Bhagavatam. The need is felt by the great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. Second paragraph, Prabhupada writes, human society is not in the darkness of oblivion. So he is giving hope. Abhi bhi itna bura nahi hai. Although so many things are going wrong, but still it is not so bad. It has made rapid progress in field of material comfort, economic development, education. But there is pinprick somewhere in the social body. किसी के पाँव में कभी जूते में कंकड़ गए, small pebble. It creates lots of trouble. Everything is all right, but you cannot walk. So that's how, there's somewhere pinprick. Everything is all right. We are advancing. Modern science is advancing. Medical field, we are advancing. In the defense, we are advancing. But still people are not happy. Still one person commits suicide every 40 seconds, every 40 minutes. So that is somewhere there should be some problem. So there is pinprick. And therefore, there are large-scale quarrels, even over less important issues. There is need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. People want Ram Rajya without Ram. It is not possible. Unless you have some common figure, there is no unity which is possible. So that's what Prabhupada writes. And then in the end, in the second last paragraph, Prabhupada writes, the third paragraph, fourth paragraph. Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the definition of the ultimate source. That is this first verse, the definition of the ultimate source. It is a bona fide commentary on Vedanta Sutra by the same author. I hope in the Bhakti Shastri, you must have, all of you must have heard the, importance of 4 books. Why Srila Prabhupada has given us these 4 books only? Because our scriptures, they are categorized into Shruti, Smriti and Nyaya. So Srila Prabhupada has very systematically given us Shruti also, Smriti also and Nyaya also. So Shruti means the words which are heard by the sages. That is Ishopanishad. Smriti is Bhagavad Gita because it comes in Mahabharata. Although Bhagavad Gita is a unique book, it is Shruti within Smriti. Because it is spoken directly by Krishna, it is Shruti. And then what is this Nyaya? Nyaya is Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada has very nicely given these 3 books so that we can become very, very astute in our understanding of spiritual life and philosophy. Prabhupada writes, it is a bona fide commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author and gradually develops into 9 cantos up to the highest state. The only qualification one needs to study this great book is to proceed step by step cautiously and not jump forward haphazardly like an ordinary book. So we cannot jump ordinarily like any book which we do. Generally people, they don't like creation. Most boring, kuch samajhta hi nahi. And if you have read this second canto, third canto, very, very difficult topics. Creation means abhi नींद नहीं आ रही है तो पढ़ लेते हैं, sleeping pill है, because nothing goes inside. It is so very complex. But Shukdev Goswami tells in the end of the 5th canto that the creation pastimes are easy to understand than the Krishna's pastimes in 10th canto. Why? Because he says it is easy to accept Purusha avatars as God. Nobody can imitate the pastimes of Purusha avatar. Maybe a universe banata hu, chalo. But everyone can imitate Krishna's pastimes of Rasa Leela. So therefore, to understand Krishna's pastimes, it is difficult because Krishna behaves in very, very, unimaginable ways which can bewilder people. So therefore, unless you go systematically from 1st canto to 9 cantos and understand this 10th canto, the person who is performing all these stealing of, gopis' clothes and dancing with other men's wife and running from the battlefield, he is not an ordinary personality. He is the Supreme Lord. He is the source of all the Purusha avatars. So that's why Prabhupada is very, very cautious. He is telling again and again, please don't jump. One will be unable to capture the effects of 10th canto without going through the first 9 cantos. Dashamasya vishuddhartham navanamiha lakshanam varnayanti mahatmana shrutena arthena chanjasa. That there are 10 cantos of Bhagavatam. Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam we discussed last time. So all these 9 topics, they are meant to focus on the 10th topic. Just like in the altar here, Radha Giridhari altar. There are so many lights which are put. Why? So that every part of Radha Giridhari's body can be illuminated so that we can take darshan of the Lord properly. Although Lord is supreme effulgent, but we are covered by ignorance, so we cannot see. So therefore, all the lights are very strategically put so that Lord is illuminated. So all these 9 cantos very systematically describe the glories of this 10th canto, so that we can appreciate who is this personality who is performing all these pastimes. The book is complete in 12 cantos, each independent, but it is good for all to read them in small installments, one after another. We should never be lazy in understanding the philosophy. Which verse says this? In Chaitanya Charitamrita there is a verse which tells, please don't be lazy in understanding the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Siddhant Buliya Jeev Chitte Nakaro Alas Iha Hoite Krishna Lagi Sudrida Manas. If you read regularly, please don't be lazy. Not technical है थोड़ा लीला पढ़ते हैं. Siddhant, if you read Siddhant, then we will not be bewildered. Just like in the village, all of you must have seen and experienced. दो खेतों के बीच में पगडंडी होती है, उसमें लोग चलते रहते हैं. So the path remains, but in the rainy season nobody is walking, so the paths get covered by the grass. Similarly, if we don't read these scriptures and philosophy regularly, our mind will be covered with the weeds of doubt. Marga babhuva sandigdha trinaischanna ya samskrita na abhyasyamana shrutayo dvijay kalena chahata. Marga babhuva sandigdha. The path, just like it becomes covered, our mind will become covered with doubts. So therefore, we should not be lazy. We should not think, oh, these are all difficult topics. So we'll continue this first verse, purport. Prabhupada writes, unscrupulous persons go immediately to 10th canto and describe and hear and speak the Rasa Leela pastimes. This portion of Srimad Bhagvatam is most confidential. Just like Prabhupada, he went to one of the life members' home and the lady was telling, Swamiji, please speak about Rasa Leela. And Prabhupada ignored once or twice, but she was very insistent. So then Prabhupada said, you may be qualified to hear, I am not qualified to speak. So that's what Prabhupada was very, very strong. He never spoke any esoteric pastimes in public. If you see most of the lectures of Prabhupada, hitting the philosophy, very hardcore philosophy. You are not this body, you are soul. Tunam pramatta kurute vikarma, all the heavy verses. Prabhupada likes to speak all those verses. And there is a book, Selected Verses. In Prabhupada, whatever verses Prabhupada has quoted, there is a book, Selected Verses of Prabhupada. So all those verses, Prabhupada wanted to establish that there is no use delving into all these esoteric subject matters. There was one devotee in 1971, Nitai Das, and he started going to some of the Brajavasi Goswamis and he started hearing all those esoteric topics. And then he started, getting disconnected and ultimately left ISKCON. So another devotee, Revati Nandan Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, he went to Prabhupada and directly he asked, Prabhupada, this is happening in our society. So, and he directly straightforward, he asked, he said, Prabhupada, are there some topics which you didn't tell us so that we have to go to some other teacher to learn them? Or if we follow whatever principles and whatever things you have given us of hearing, chanting, then in due course of time, Krishna will reveal all the higher subject matters. Prabhupada said, yes, that is the right understanding. We don't have to directly jump and think that, oh, Prabhupada has given us Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. What is the goal of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti? Kahan jayenge? No. Vaikuntha. Prabhupada has not given us the highest. With the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti Vaikuntha, Raganuga is Goloka. So you have not given us the highest. Prabhupada said no. You have to just stick. Krishna will reveal whatever is our Swarupa. Otherwise, devotees in Vrindavan, one day they were doing chanting and they heard, peacock. And so it was a different type of sound. So then they realized that one devotee, he was, jumping and speaking like peacock. Because he had gone to one of the Brajavasi Goswami and he has told that, oh, you are a peacock in the spiritual world. And your sadhana is every day, half an hour, you have to speak like peacock. So that is what, the sahajiyas, they do. Artificially crying. You will find such sahajiyas even now in Jagannath Puri. They will dress as, ladies and they, cry. Somebody was telling me just some time back, that in one of the places, one person, he dressed as a gopi, fell down crying, and another person was consoling, don't worry, Gopi Krishna will come. So that is what is happening. So Prabhupada was very strict against all that. You are conditioned with all these anarthas and you are thinking about your spiritual form. First get purified. Because even at the bhava level, the devotee has two roles. Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi. This is Rupa Goswami speaking in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Even at the stage of bhava, bhava bhakta has two types of actions, two types of activities. Seva sadhak and siddha rupa. So just like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, who are they? They are manjaris in the spiritual world. But what are they doing? Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natibhi Kala Vasani Grito Nidra Hara Viharakadi Vijitao Chaitanya Dino Chayo. So externally, they will continue to chant 16 rounds. They will continue to follow the principles. They will get up early in the morning. Internally, they are meditating on their relationship with Krishna. So that people are not bewildered. And although pure devotees, they don't have to follow the rules and regulations because they don't have to think, abhi mere ko niyam palan karna. It is ingrained in that. So therefore, Prabhupada is very strong. Please don't jump into the Rasa Leela pastimes. Sometimes devotees say, Prabhuji, there are no, how can we find there are pure devotees? Are there still many pure devotees in ISKCON? Only those who are sannyasis or those who are very elevated grastas? They are only pure devotees. How to identify who is a bhava bhakta? So what are the tangible symptoms of a bhava bhakta, which we can see, reliable symptoms? Nectar of Devotion describes the 9 symptoms of a bhava bhakta, which cannot be imitated. These can be imitated. Swed, Kampa, Romanch, Ashru, Gadgad, Vaivarnya, Unmad, Vishad, Garva, Harsha, Dainya. एक तो भावे प्रेमा भक्त गणे न नचाए प्रेमेर आनंदामृत सागरे भासाए. These are ecstatic symptoms which can be imitated. How will you understand it is, just like one person came to one of the temple and started crying and we fell on the ground and devotees said, wow, ecstasy mein lagta hai. They went to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, it seems there is a pure devotee who has come. So what Prabhupada said? Take a stick and hit him. If he still, continues to do like that, then you should understand he is a pure devotee. And as the devotees, they took a stick and as soon as they went near him, he ran away. So because these symptoms are easy to be imitated. How to understand a person on a bhav bhakti? Likha to nahi hai idhar bhav bhakta.
Avyartha
Prem
kalatvam.
bhakta. So how to understand? Shanter avyartha kalatvam virakti mana shunyata आशाबंध समुत्कंठ नाम गाने सदा रुचि आसक्तिस्तद्गुणाख्याने प्रीतिस्तद्वसति स्थले इत्यादयोनुभावास्यो जात भावांकुरे जने. These are the 9 symptoms which cannot be replicated and imitated by anyone. Shanti, perseverance. Avyartha kalatvam, not wasting time. In today's age of social media, smartphones, not wasting time. Virakti. What is the difference between Vairagya and Virakti?
Vairagya is simply getting rid of the possessions. Virakti is
Sense gratification remain.
Okay. Yes. Anything else? Yes, online devotees can also tell. Okay. Something you can tell. Vairagya means the taste for sense gratification is still there, but I will not do it. Kyunki itna suna hai. I've heard enough. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita बोलें कितना पूछते हैं लोग यार, पहले exam लेते रहते. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita says if you do sense gratification it will end in misery? Yehi samsparshajab hoga. So he knows, he has theoretical understood, that's why he doesn't do sense gratification. That is called as Vairagya. Virakti means there is no taste for sense gratification only. Yamuna Acharya, what is he saying? I spit at that thought. Virakti. Shanti, avyartha karatvam, virakti, mana shunyata, completely humble, prideless. Ashabandh, always hopeful. Samutkantha, eager. Ashabandh samutkantha, namagane sadaruchi. Interested in chanting the holy names. Our ecstasy is, I can say about myself, 16वां नीचे गया बस ecstasy. So that is the extra. Sometimes वो बड़ा वाला नहीं आता है तो पूछते हैं किधर है वहाँ नहीं रखा So नाम गाने सदारुचि आसक्तिस्तद गुणाख्याने, hearing the pastimes of Krishna, प्रीतिस्तद वसति स्थले, going to the holy places. These are the symptoms which we can see. Anybody exhibiting these symptoms, you can safely consider he is a Bhava Bhakta. He may have anarthas. He is on the path of that liberation, Bhava Bhakti. Kaviraj Goswami says there are two types of pure devotees. Who are they? Sahi Bhakta Gana hoye Dviveda Prakar, Sadhak Parshad Gana are Sadhak Gana. The Siddhas are pure and Sadhakas are also pure. So don't think ये तो अभी साधक है अभी अभी chanting करना शुरू किया है. No, if he is really sincere in practice, this time is separating. Kaviraj Goswami is himself telling there are two types of pure devotees. So please do not underestimate anyone around us. Who is at what level? Who knows? So therefore, Prabhupada is very strong. You should not jump. Just systematically go. And then Prabhupada writes that Vyasdev gives the readers a chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Are we going really slow or should we go a little faster? Otherwise, I can do faster also. So therefore, he purposely invokes the Gayatri mantra Dhimahi. So Dhimahi, Satyam Param Dhimahi. So this is a Gayatri mantra. So this Om is represented by Janmadi Asyataha and Bhu Bhuva Swaha. It is represented by Trisargo Amrisha. The verse says Trisargo Amrisha. The three planetary systems. Bhu, Bhuva, Swa. And then Tat Savitur Varenyam. It basically tells that Supreme Lord is Swarad. So that's how Jiva Goswami maps. Okay, what is this verse and what is Gayatri? It is same. So that is what he describes. And then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, Srimad Bhagvatam is the narration of the Swarupa manifested by his internal potency. So Bhagavatam is not an ordinary book. It is the Supreme Lord himself who has manifested in this form so that we, fallen people of Kali Yuga, can understand who is the Supreme Personality. And we had compared Bhagavatam with four things. Anybody remembers last time? Lamp, sun, fruit,
Mohini Murti.
Mohini Murti. Yes. So Bhagavatam is Mohini Murti. If somebody has ulterior motives, they will never get the essence of Bhagavatam. If you want something material from this book, you will get. If you want something material from Krishna, you will get. Akama, moksha kama. Whatever you want, Krishna will give. So therefore, Bhagavatam is a person and it reciprocates according to the desires of a person. So when we are sincere in our reading of Bhagavatam, then Bhagavatam will reveal. So the more we are serious and sincere, it develops. If the husband and wife has to develop relationship, they have to spend time together. If you want to develop relationship with Bhagavatam, you have to spend time with Bhagavatam. As simple formula as that. Otherwise, we will not develop relationship with Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam will remain as it is. Plastic फाड़ के निकालेंगे प्रभु जी. Fourth canto से बोलिए ना तो हम लोग लेके आते हैं. That's what happens. So it is not their fault of their devotees because they are already so much occupied with so many things. Standing 16 rounds is itself a big deal for many. So it is our great fortune that we are getting chance to read such great detail, scrutinizingly studying each and every line of Prabhupada. Although we are not going into each and every line, that will require 16 years. So, but still, we are doing, such a unimaginable thing to read such. So, Prabhupada tells we should read my books as law books. Prabhupada would tell, you should read my books as law books. Just like when a lawyer is fighting his court case, so he does not tell, एक मिनट वो मैं भूल गया हूँ थोड़ा वो रेफर करके आता हूँ थोड़ा बुक खोलता हूँ. No, he has to know the laws properly on his fingertips. So if somebody is speaking Bhagavatam, we should know where it is mentioned. If we don't know, which verse, at least we should know which chapter, which canto. तो भागवतम पढ़ के एटलीस्ट उतना तो हो जाएगा कि which canto, which verse. We have one devotee, he knows all the verse numbers also. उसको number verse बोलिए वो number बोलेंगे. We have Sukumar Krishna Prabhu, we have one devotee. He knows the, Sukumar Krishna Prabhu. So we have such scholars also. So at least हमको तो इतना तो बोले ये प्रोजेक्ट फर्स्ट कैंटो में है. Will not be so bad, but we'll know lots of things. But we have to be grounded. It is our fortune which Krishna is giving us.
When I read now, a few days only clear your mind. After that, it completely goes out.
Oh. Shunite shunite seha Eva nahi buje keha shunite shunite seha ki adbhuta chaitanya charita Krishna upaji bepriti jani berasera riti shunile bada hoye bita. सुनते रहिए बस, पढ़ते रहिए, बोलते रहिए. Find some group and download करिए जो भी आपने पढ़ा है. That's how it stays in the mind. Teacher learns the best. That's why I started teaching. Because before teaching Bhakti Shastri, I was thinking Bhagavad Gita तो हो गया, Bhakti Shastri हो गया, लेकिन Bhagavad Gita में क्या है कुछ समझा ही नहीं. Any of you had this? Yes, अभी भी है ना. Because वो भगवत गीता तो हो गया, NOD हो गया, ईशोपनिषद हो गया. ईशोपनिषद तो क्या है मतलब समझा ही नहीं. प्रोजेक्ट शुरू होके खत्म होके कब चला गया पता भी नहीं चला. Most of us we study because अभी चलो भाई क्वेश्चन आंसर मिल गया है, पढ़ लो, रट्टा मारो, एग्जाम है. Not our fault, but because life is so busy. So if you want to study really properly, thoroughly, find some people and teach them. You will be forced to study. पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा झक मार के, option ही नहीं है. Otherwise, all the devotees will ask n number of questions. बाद में बताता हूँ. क्या प्रभु जी आपको कुछ मालूम नहीं. बोलेंगे नहीं, but they'll feel like that. So that's how we have to understand. Okay. So Prabhupada then quotes, he's clarifying this, Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo. So he is explaining this verse in this paragraph. Srila Vyasadeva herein says herein that the manifested internal potency is real, whereas we are reading from, the paragraph starts with Srimad Bhagvatam is a narration of the Swarupa of the Lord. Okay, you found it? We are reading from the purport.
Big book 42 page last.
Okay, yeah. अगर छोटा बुक है तो उसमें 47. So Sri Vyasadeva herein says that the manifested internal potency is real, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory, like the mirage in the desert. Tejo vari mridam. That's what Prabhupada is writing here. Then Prabhupada says, if we see the reflection of the water, that means real water is somewhere else, for sure. So this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita says this? Urdhva Moolam Adashakam 15.1 and 2. So this world is illusory. It is not an illusion. It is real. It is just a reflection of the spiritual world. This world is temporary, not illusion. That's what Mayavadi says. This world is illusion. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. This world is not illusion. This world is real, but temporary. So Prabhupada writes, so real water is somewhere else. So the manifested cosmic creation appears reality, but reality of which this is but a shadow is in the spiritual world. So real is spiritual world. This is just a reflection, although it is also real, but it is temporarily created. Prabhupada writes, temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of the reality. So people, all the living entities, because they start identifying with the matter. Just like if you see if you go to movie theater, अभी तो पहले गए होंगे, once upon a time. सबसे पहले क्या होता है मूवी थिएटर में? When you sit, अंधेरा हो जाता है, and then एक लाइट, सब लाइट्स बंद हो जाते हैं, and then another light starts. So when living entity enters this dark material world, he gets covered by a layer of ignorance or darkness that is called avaranatmika shakti. Mayadevi has two potencies, avarana, and then another light is projected that is called prakshepatmika or vikshepatmika. And then the movie is going on. The movie of this world is going on, and then pitai ho raha hai hero ka, and then audience are also crying. Why? Nothing is happening to them. Why audience are crying when the hero is getting beaten up and so many bad things are happening to him? Yeah, illusion. Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's
Okay.
real.
Okay.
we get involved into that.
Yeah, you start identifying with the hero. So that is what is happening. Nothing is happening to this person, but he is crying tears. रो रहा है बेचारा, दूसरा बगल वाला उसको पूछ ले हम. So similarly, this body is not ours, but we start identifying with the body. That's why we suffer. इच्छा द्वेष सुखम दुखम संघातस चेतनादिति एतत् क्षेत्रम समासेन सविकारम उदाहरणम. That is 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 13.6. Krishna says, इच्छा, द्वेष, sukha, dukkha, they are all transformations of dead matter. Dead matter kidhar we are experiencing, right? Not dead matter. Then why Krishna is saying these are transformations of kshetra? Because we start identifying with our body. The soul and matter can never get related. Soul is spiritual, matter is material. But still, because we start identifying ourselves with the matter, ye mera hai. If somebody gets a new mobile, iPhone 13 Pro, and day one, he's on the streets and the mobile falls on the ground, and vehicle goes over it. क्या होगा फिर? उसके भी दिल के टुकड़े टुकड़े हो जाएंगे. Why? Nothing happened to him, right? But he is crying. क्यों? मेरा है. So nothing is happening to the soul, everything is happening to the body, but still we cry because we start identifying, oh, this is my body. So that is illusion. And this illusion is there in all the 14 planetary systems. Abrahma bhavana loka. That's what Prabhupada is writing in this paragraph. Then the next paragraph, Prabhupada focuses on the word abhigya and swarat. The chief engineer of the complicated construction does not personally take part in the construction, but he knows every nook and corner because everything is done under his direction. Similarly, the Supreme Lord knows this creation, although he knows it directly. ऐसा नहीं कि उसको भगवान को नहीं बताएंगे तो उनको पता नहीं चलेगा क्या. He is there in everyone's heart. Which verse? Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is there in everyone's heart. Okay, one more verse.
Riddhi Sannivishto 15.
Ishvara Sarva Hridadeshe. Yeah.
Vishnati.
Yes. So Krishna knows everything. He is Swarata. Krishna says in 13th chapter, there are two types of Kshetragya. One is a living entity, but he is only limited Kshetragya. If what you are thinking, I don't know. What I am thinking, you can know. If somebody is thinking, कब तो होगा? 4-15 मिनट और 10 मिनट का break के लिए. So you may be thinking, if somebody is sitting silently in the class, there may be two options. Either he is very attentively hearing or he is preparing to sleep. So what is happening to you? I don't know. What is happening to me? You don't know. Yeah. So we are only Kshetragya of this body, but Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. I am the Kshetragya of all the Kshetras. So he is Abhigya. He is supreme knower. That's what Prabhupada writes here. Lord knows everything directly and indirectly and is cognizant of all minute details. He is fully independent. Prabhupada gives the example of a gold mine and the particles of gold. So the person who is having a mine under his property, he knows everything what is happening in the mind. Prabhupada gives that example. And then he says, we and Lord, we are qualitatively one but quantitatively different. What examples Prabhupada gives to explain that, living entities and the Supreme Lord, they are qualitatively one, quantitatively different. Simple examples Prabhupada has given.
Drop in the
Salt
ocean,
and sea, yes.
and the drop in the ocean.
Sun and sunray, and
Drop in the ocean water.
third is
Drop in
this,
the
yeah,
ocean and
gold
ocean
and
water.
gold mine. Yeah. So that's what Prabhupada has given here also. Then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, people, they don't surrender to Krishna, and that's why they claim everything is their property. One businessman came to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, I have a factory here, I have a factory there, I have a factory in Jaipur, and I have so many factories, but I can't sleep at night. Prabhupada said, okay, give us all your factories, you sleep peacefully. And then he said, no, Swamiji, I'm okay, I'll try to manage it. So then Prabhupada said, okay, what do you do? So he says, I have a glass factory. Acha, how do you make glass? So Swamiji, I take this sand and I extract silica from it and I make glass. So Prabhupada said, oh, that means you are a thief. No, Swamiji, I give donation also. So Prabhupada said, you are a lesser thief. Hira chor or khira chor, both are chor only. Either somebody is stealing a diamond or a cucumber, khira ki choraya to chori. So because everything belongs to Krishna. So Prabhupada writes that everything is belonging to Krishna, but out of illusion, people think that they are the controllers. Then Prabhupada continues the same theme in the next paragraph also. In the next paragraph, then Prabhupada elaborates on Tene Brahma Hridaya. It is also stated that absolute whole or Brahman is the ultimate source of everything. Everything emanates from him. Then after a few lines, Prabhupada writes, one may argue that Brahma, being the original creator, original living being, could not be inspired because there was no other being at that time. Herein it is stated that Supreme Lord inspired the creator Brahma. It will come in the second canto. Brahmaji, he was born on the lotus flower and he sees darkness all around and he's thinking, who am I? Why do bad things happen to good people? All the questions. Kya karna hai mere ko? Then he hears two words. What are they? Tapa, tapa. 2 times he hears. And then he meditates for 1,000 celestial years and Lord gives him darshan. And then he shows the spiritual world and then he speaks this Chatushloki Bhagavatam. That's the first instruction given by Brahmaji. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. So that is what comes in the second canto, 9th chapter, 33, 34, 35, 36. These are the Chatushloki. So Prabhupada elaborates on the Abhigya and Swarat and Tene Brahma Hridaya also. Even Brahma has to meditate on the Supreme Lord in order to create. Then what to speak of the great scientists like Einstein? The brain of such scientists are certainly not a product of human being, So when Einstein died, all the other scientists, they preserved their brain also, his brain, for many years. I don't know, abhi bhi hai ki nahi. Because they were thinking, oh, I think we can bring life back. Even there are people, I can show a nice video. Even there are people, now also they are thinking we'll bring a dead person back to life. There is a whole branch called cryonics. They have, they are working on this. They have around 150 people who have registered. And after they die, and they have there around 150 or 200 bodies. Those people who, signed, okay, after we die, please preserve our body. After you find the formula, you bring us back to life. And some people, they prefer only preserve our brain. Baki sab chalega. Someday you will find, this is a nice video. You'll be amused to see that. Just remind me, I'll show that. So that's how, scientists are so, that's why Prabhupada was very, very angry. They're all giving post-dated checks. That's what Prabhupada writes here also. Scientists cannot manufacture such a brain, and what to speak of foolish atheists who defy the authority of the Lord. Even Mayavadi impersonalists who flatter themselves that they can become one with the Lord are either Abhigya or neither Abhigya nor Swarat. They are not Swarat, Prabhupada was giving a class somewhere and one person got up and said, I am God. Prabhupada said, thank you, sit down. And then he continued speaking. So that's what Prabhupada was very strong. One person came and said, Swamiji, I am God, and started arguing, and then he, got nature's God. Swamiji, please give me some. No. Control your bowel movements. You said you are God. So even Mayavadis, they flatter themselves. So that's how they, call each other. Om Namo Narayana. You are Narayan, I am Narayan. So that is their foolishness. Okay. So then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada again gives an example. An atheist may argue that God is no more expert than a watchmaker. There are three types of philosophies: atheism, deism, and theism. So atheism means I don't believe in God. God is neither controller nor creator. Deism means God is creator but not controller. And theism means God is creator and controller. So what is this deism? That is this watchmaker philosophy. A person who makes the watch, he is not controlling the movements of the watch, right? So God is like that. Some people say, God has created this world, but now it is moving on its own. Nature is in control. So that's what Prabhupada is writing here. But of course, God is greater because he can create machines and duplicate male and female forms. None of the scientists can do that. Another name of God is Asamurdhva. Asama and Urdhva. There is nobody equal to Krishna, nobody greater than Krishna. That's how when Krishna entered Mathura, all the Mathura ladies, they are seeing Krishna for the first time. And they are just thinking, what is the fortune of the gopis? Gopya tapakyamacharam yadamushya rupam lavanya saramasamordhumananya siddham drigbhe pibantyanu savabhinamam durapam ekanta dhama yashasa shriya aishwarasya. What austerities these gopis must have performed. Tapakyamacharam, kya tapasya kiya? Lavanya saram, the essence of loveliness. Asamordhvam, nobody greater than him. Ananya siddham, nobody is more perfect than him. And gopis are drinking the beauty of this Krishna's loveliness every day. This is the word. Asamordhvam. So Krishna is Asamordhvam. He is Parasatyam, Param Satyam. And then Prabhupada writes the next paragraph. Unless you surrender to Krishna, you can't understand. All the gymnastics can't help one to understand Krishna unless you surrender to Krishna. Athapi te deva padambuja dvaya prasadaleshanugrhita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. Athapi te deva padambuja. Unless you take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and get his mercy, prasad. Prasad means, what is the technical meaning of prasad? Mercy. Some people say prasad means Prabhu ke sakshat darshan. Prasad. Prasad jo hai wo pehle, we had many students, they initially it happens, right? They don't even come to the center. वो hall में आते ही नहीं, सीधा kitchen में घुस जाते. Prasad, that's how we have become devotees. That is also another way of getting purified. So prasad leshanugrit, unless you get mercy of the Lord, janati tattvam bhagwan mahimno, then only you can know. Otherwise, even if you try for millions of lifetimes, na cha anya ekopi chiram, चिरकाल तक प्रयास करने के पश्चात भी भगवान के दर्शन नहीं होंगे. So then Prabhupada writes, then Prabhupada in the next paragraph, he tells about another personality known as Vaibhav. So there is a historical personality named Vaibhav. Prabhupada writes, some Mayavadi scholars argue that Bhagavatam was not compiled by Sri Vyasadeva. Some of them suggest that this book is a modern creation written by someone named Vaibhav. So he is a recent personality. Some few thousand years back he came. In order to refute such arguments, Sridhar Swami points out that this is the oldest of all Puranas. It is not a recent creation because the first verse is Gayatri Mantra, and you will find reference of this Bhagavatam in the Matsya Puran, in Garur Puran, in so many scriptures. Arthoyam Brahma Sutranam Bharatartha Vinirnayah Gayatri Bhashya Ruposo Vedanta Paribrahmita. This verse comes in Garur Puran. So there are so many scriptures in which Bhagavatam is mentioned. It is not a recent creation. That's what Prabhupada is establishing here. That's what I said. When Bhagavatam was written by Vyasdev, when Puranas were written by Vyasdev, Prabhupada wrote Bhagavatam also. Vyasdev wrote Bhagavatam also. Then when Narad Muni chastised him, he edited it. He just removed some of the parts which are not directly glorifying Krishna. And then he presented this Bhagavatam in the current form. It is written. So this verse, Arthoyam Brahma Sutranam, in that verse it says, Grantho Ashtadas Sahasro Srimad Bhagavatadibhi Parikshita Sukh Samvado Shinu Bhagavatam Chatat. Grantho Ashtadash Sahasro. This Grantha was written at that time. Garud Purana mentioned, matlab us time bhi likh diya rahega na. He just edited it when Narad Muni he chastised him. Okay, so then Prabhupada writes that this is not a recent creation. And then he says there is a history of Vritrasur. Bhagavatam is mentioned as a scripture in Puranas where you will find the story of Vritrasur. So Prabhupada quotes that also. There is a story of Vritrasur. And then Prabhupada quotes another famous verse which we use in Bhadra Purnima. Anyone who makes a gift of this great work on a full moon day attains the highest perfection. 12, 13, 13. This is a verse number. There is a reference in Bhagavatam in other Puranas also. So Prabhupada quotes that. Then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specially deals with the original and pure sex psychology, Adi Rasa, because the whole world is moving under this. And this sex life is a prominent in current civilization. So therefore, Bhagavatam is giving the Adi Rasa. Because whatever we have in this world, it is the reflection of the spiritual world. So there is sex life in the spiritual world, not in this form. Because whatever we see in this form, this world is lust. There is no love. The difference between love and lust, the famous verse. Atmendriya priti vancha tare boli kam, Krishnendriya priti ichha dhare premna. So Prabhupada writes that. So that's how this verse ends. This Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually elevate the unbiased reader to the highest perfection of transcendence. It will enable him to transcend the three modes of material activities: fruitive actions, speculative philosophy, and worship of the functional deities. That is karma, jnana, and yoga. Okay, so that is the first verse. Okay, we'll take 10 minutes break and then we'll continue. Anyone has any questions, you can ask.
Google Play Store they have given. So, what about
Yeah, I'll tell.
those who don't have the Google?
Okay, so I have sent this one EPUB format का एक file भेजा है. To open that format, you need to download an app. On Android app के लिए, Android phone के लिए वो app है, Moon Reader. So it opens in that only. So if you want to use that EPUB file, then you can download that. Otherwise, if you have Vedabase, or if you want to go to this now online vedabase.io is a site. If you're not aware, there is an online site, vedabase.io. So there all the books are there, Bhagavatam. Or this EPUB format has Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary also. So that will be easy. So if you want to use that, then you please download that app and then it will open in that app. Okay. Okay, so we'll continue. We'll go to the second verse. So after describing the Supreme Lord and establishing the Sambandha Gyan, now Vyasdev glorifies Srimad Bhagvatam and establishes the Abhidheya. Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Vedyam vastamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim va Parairishvaraha. Yoridya Varudyate Atra Kritibhishu Shrushubhistakshanat. So in this verse, Atra is repeated 3 times. So this verse establishes the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma projita kaitava. All the cheating types of religion are rejected in this scripture. Pro ujjita. Prakrishta rupena ujjita. Completely rejected. Not that some parts are okay, some are not. All the cheating type of religions are rejected. Atra, in this book. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha, they are all rejected. Even moksha is rejected. Why moksha is rejected? That is also attachment. So there are 5 types of liberation. Anybody knows? Yeah, so we all know. Yes. So out of that, devotees are not interested in sayujya. And actually, they are not interested in any of these 5 if there is no opportunity for service. Diyamanam na grihnanti vinamat sevanam jana. Salokya sarishti sarupya samipya aikattam apyuta diyamanam na grihnanti vinamat sevanam jana. And to merge in moksha, merge in Brahman, it is also a desire, selfish desire, because there is no service. Parama. So this verse establishes the supreme absolute truth, Parama. And it is understandable by whom? Nirmat Saranam. So only pure devotees can actually relish Bhagavatam. But pure devotee, it is said that the primary audience of Bhagavatam is a sadhaka. The secondary audience is Paramahamsa. Sadhakas, they should read Bhagavatam because that is the medicine. Which verse, where it is mentioned that it is like a sugarcane juice, holy name, but our tongue is covered with jaundice, Upadeshamrit, it is said, somebody knows the verse also. Okay. Yeah, Tushti Mataji from this. Syat Krishna Nama Saritapi Chitapya Vidya Pittopatapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintva Dharadanu Dinam Khalu Saiva Chushta Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tadgadamula Hantri. So that is how the holy names of the Lord, they are so pure, the pastimes of the Lord, they are so sweet, but our tongue is covered with jaundice. The more we drink it, the more we will get cured. So this Bhagavatam is meant for sadhakas primarily. Soham nrinam shulla sukhaya dukkham mahadgatanam viramaya tasya pravartaye Bhagavatam Puranam yadaha sakshat Bhagavan Rishi. People in general, they want to be happy. They are struggling so very hard to become happy. But what they get is shulla sukh and mahad dukh. थोड़ा सा ही सुख मिलता है, बहुत दुख मिलता है. So therefore, people are not aware how to be happy. So therefore, Bhagavan Rishi, who is that? Vyasadeva. He has written this Bhagavata Purana. So primary audience of Bhagavatam is asadhaka. But it is actually relishable by a pure devotee who is nirmatsara. So one should have pure character without envy. Vedyam vastavamatra vastu. So vastava vastu. This distinguishes reality from illusion. What is reality? What is illusion? It is described very clearly in Bhagavatam. And it is for welfare of all. Shivadam. Shiva, Shankara, Sham Karoti iti Shankara. That which brings auspiciousness for everyone. That is Sham Karoti. Shankha. What's the meaning of Shankha? That which creates auspiciousness in the ether. K. So Shivadam, that's why Lord is called. Shiva is called. Shankara is called as Shiva, which creates auspiciousness. So this Bhagavatam is for the welfare of all, for auspiciousness of all living entities. Tapa Trayonmulanam, it uproots the threefold miseries, and we discussed how it uproots. It gives us the right way to respond to the problems of the world. Who has written it? Mahamuni Krite by Vyasadeva, and is sufficient for God realizing. Kimva Pare? What is the use of any other scripture? That's what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would tell. If all the books in all the libraries of the world get burnt, if Bhagavad Gita remains, there is no problem. Even if Bhagavad Gita is burnt, if Bhagavatam remains, there is no problem. So what is the use of any other scripture? Kimva Parairishvaraha. Kimva Parai. So therefore, Sadhyo Ridhi Avarudhyate, that Supreme Lord, will be established in the heart at once. Sadhyaha. Immediately. Sadhya means immediately. It will not take time. Kritebhi Shushrushu Tatshanat. But when? What is the quality of hearing? Shushrushu, attentive and submissive hearing. That is most important. If we are not attentive, we are not submissive, then this effect will not come. So therefore, that is this verse, which establishes the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada in the first paragraph describes what are the four types of Kaitava Dharma. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, they are all Kaitava Dharma. And animal life begins when, human life begins when a person starts thinking about God. Ahara Nidra Bhaya Maithunam Samanyam Dharmo Hitesham Adhiko. So Prabhupada writes, religion is the extra function of human being. Without religion, human life is no better than animal life. And then in the next paragraph also Prabhupada elaborates on this consciousness. If people are in consciousness of enjoying sense gratification, they are animal. And because when they see there is so much of competition happening in this world, then they turn towards God sometimes. Oh, is there a way out of this? I am suffering so much. दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाये, फिर ऐसा करके भगवान के पास जाते हैं. But if the material goals are obtainable in other ways, then the so-called religion is neglected. Whatever makes me enjoy, I will do that. If religion makes me enjoy, I will do that. Atma sambhavita stabda dhanamana madanvita yajante nam yagyaiste dhambhena vidhi purvakam. 16th chapter Krishna is saying. People, they will do yajna. वो नाम यज्ञ नहीं करते, नाम के लिए यज्ञ करते हैं. यजन्ते नाम यज्ञस्ते. नाम के लिए यज्ञ कर रहे हैं हम लोग, मेरा नाम होगा. So that is what is described by Prabhupada. This is a situation in modern civilization. Church, mosques, temples are now practically vacant. Prabhupada is making a very strong statement. Practically vacant. Men are more interested in factories, shops, cinemas. This practically proves that religion is performed for some economic gains. That's why, Sutta Goswami will tell in the second chapter, religion should never be performed for artha. Artha should never be achieved for sense gratification. That is what Nehayat Karma Dharmaya, that is spoken by Devahuti in the third canto. Nehayat Karma Dharmaya, na viragaya kalpate, na tirtha pada sevaya, jivan napi mritopisa. If your karma does not lead to dharma, if your dharma doesn't lead to renunciation, if your renunciation doesn't lead to love of God, it is all waste. So all our dharmic activities should bring us close to Krishna. Dharmasya hi apavargasya nartho arthayo upagate. That's what Krishna will say. Sutta Goswami will say in the second chapter. Then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada focuses on this word nirmatsaranam, envy. Envy means no vacancy in the spiritual world. Envy. If you are envious, you cannot get entry into the spiritual world. Because even in Vaikuntha, even birds and plants are non-envious. Anyone knows any descriptions about Vaikuntha birds and plants which comes in Bhagavatam?
Yeah, they all glorify the Lord. They all glorify the Lord, and suddenly one bumblebee comes and starts humming. So they all wait and listen to what the bumblebee is singing.
Yes. So all the beautiful birds, sweet singing birds, they are singing very nicely the glories of Krishna. But when bumblebee comes, they all become silent. Paravatanya Bhrita Sarasa Chakravaka Datyuho Hamsa Shukatittiri Barhinamya Bringadipe Hari Kolahalam Viramate Chiramatra Muche Bringadipe Harikatha Ivagayamani Paravata Anyabhrita Sarasa Chakravaka Datyuha Hamsa Tittiri sparrow Barhinam peacock कोलाहल हो रहा है बहुत मतलब huge. Viramate becomes silent. Why? Bhringadipe, bumblebees, as if it is singing. Eva, as a singing, ऐसा नहीं. Eva, they consider that humming of a bumblebee as singing. Why? Because bumblebee must have sat on the garland of Lord Vishnu, and now he's coming here and he's distributing the nectar of the garland. So let us become silent and hear the glories of Lord which this bumblebee is singing. So that is the non-enviousness. Even about plants it comes. All the beautiful fragrant plants, when they see Tulsi Maharani coming, they give all the Mandara, Kunda, Kurava, Utpala, that is also worse. So that is enviousness. And it all starts from Radharani. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that even Radharani, if she thinks, oh, this gopi, Krishna likes her more than me. And if she is better in serving Krishna, I will go and become dasi at her home. Ye gopi more kare dveshe, Krishnera kore santoshe, Krishna tare kore abhilash. Mui tare ghare jaiya, tare seo dasi hoiya, tabe more sukher ullas. So, ye gopi more, if she is envious of me, although that is transcendental enviousness. Krishnera kare santosh, if she is satisfying Krishna and Krishna wants her, I will go and serve her. That is my greatest happiness. So that is the mood of a devotee. Non-enviousness. So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Radharani, she is a creeper of devotion. And all the gopis, they are like the twigs which appear from that creeper. And when the water is put on the creeper of devotion, then it gets nourished, all the leaves get nourished. Shravana Kirtana Jale Karai Sichan. And Radharani, who is a creeper of devotion, she likes to put the twigs in front. All the gopis are in front. So that is the non-envious nature, you know. So Prabhupada writes in this purport, there are 3 levels of non-enviousness. Yeah. After a few lines, Prabhupada writes, so we'll just read some more. Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities. It can be understood only by pure devotees. So people who are having good character, you know, I'm reading from the 3rd paragraph, 3rd, 4th line. Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities, understandable only by pure devotees of the Lord. So Bhagavatam, we can relish Bhagavatam, we can relish Bhagavad Gita if we are free from sin and if we are free from anarthas. There is a verse in Bhagavad Gita which Krishna says, a devotee should be free from sin if you want to practice bhakti properly. Anybody knows? Oh, sorry, no, not that. Yesham tu antagatam.
Papam jananam punya karmanam.
अब ये
तेज
भी
वंद मोह निर्मुक्त.
इसलिए इतना सब श्लोक याद है. येषां तु अंतगतम पापम जनानाम पुण्य कर्मणाम. So if you want to practice bhakti with bhajante mam dridha vrata, if you want to practice bhakti with determination, paap nahi hona chahiye. So therefore, if you want to relish Bhagavatam, envy should not be there. And then Prabhupada writes a very nice line. He says, transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from envy. So first is, they are themselves free from envy. Second, they are well-wishers of everyone. And third, they strive to establish a competitionless society with God in the center. You know, so these are the 3 levels of non-enviousness. I am personally free from envy. That is one thing. Second, I am well-wisher of everyone. And third, I am well-wisher of entire society also. That is a devotee. So Prabhupada writes, from the point of view of the Vedas, sense gratification is a basis of life, material life. There are 3 paths mentioned in the Vedas: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So he says, one involves fruitive activities, that is karma. Other involves worshipping demigods for promotion to devatas, that is also demigod worship. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Panchopasana, there is something which comes in Bhagavad Gita also, worshipping the devatas also. Another involves realizing the absolute truth and his impersonal feature by becoming one with him. That is Jnana Yoga. And then Prabhupada explains in the next paragraph, Vastavam Atra Vastu. What is this Vastava Vastu which is mentioned? That is the Supreme Lord's personal features. So Prabhupada describes there are 3 features: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. If you are worshipper of, if you are Jnani, you can go till Brahman. If you are a yogi, you can achieve Paramatma realization, but only a devotee can get Bhagavan realization. So Prabhupada writes that because bhakti is the only eternal path. There are no Jnanis, no Karmis, no yogis in the spiritual world. Only devotees. Bhakti is the only permanent path. And then Prabhupada writes in the next paragraph, Tapatrayon Moolanam. What is that Tapatraya? Somebody can read this paragraph? This knowledge from there.
Knowledge that the energy of the Lord is simultaneously one and different from the Lord. In answer to the questions regulators. This knowledge is actually understood. It sees the conceptions of monism and dualism perfect. Development of this transcendental consciousness grounded in the conception of simultaneously one in the different needs one immediately to the stage of freedom from threefold miseries. Threefold miseries are those miseries which arise from the mind and the body. First, second, those miseries inflicted by other living beings. Third, those miseries arise from natural catastrophes, for which one has no control. surrender of the devotee into the absolute person. The devotee is fully aware that he is one with the absolute and at the same time in the eternal position of a servant to the absolute. In the material conception, one passes himself a lot of all the service, and therefore he is always troubled by the threefold miseries of life. But as soon as one comes to know his real position as transcendental servant, he at once becomes free from all miseries.
Okay. So as soon as he realizes I am not the controller, I am the servant. At that moment he becomes free from misery. Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, Kami, Ashant. Krishna Bhakta Nishkamateva Shant. Because there is no anxiety of controlling, there is no anxiety of protecting, because Krishna is the supreme protector. Krishna Das Abhiman e Anand Sindhu Koti Brahma Sukha Nahi Tar Ek Bindu. Kaviraj Goswami says the happiness of becoming servant of Krishna, it cannot, even Brahmanand, if it is multiplied by millions of times, it cannot even compare to a drop of it. So therefore, as soon as we realize I am servant of Krishna, that moment we'll experience peace. That is the freedom from miseries. So, but somebody may ask, but I am practicing since so many years, but still there are so many problems. In fact, problems have increased. लग रहा है अभी ज्यादा हो गया है. पहले तो जपा में इतना नहीं सोता था, अभी ज्यादा हो रहा है. So it happens. Yeah, many devotees, they experience this. Problems increases. So how Bhagavatam is telling tapat trayon mulanam, it gives one to the strength to deal with the miseries. Throughout Bhagavatam, all the characters of Bhagavatam are teaching us this thing, how to deal with the problems. Starting with Parikshit Maharaj, cursed for no reason, insignificant reason. Chitraketu Maharaj, cursed for no reason. Guna pravaha etasmin kah shapa kah anugraha kah swarga narakah kova kim sukham dukkham evova. No problem, oh mother, I was not meaning that. I didn't want to, disrespect Lord Shiva. Okay, whatever has come, I'll accept it. So that is how the devotees of the Lord, they are always, in that mood. Whatever has come, it is the mercy of the Lord. Kunti Maharani is praying, "Arey aur chahiye." Can you imagine that? Itna sufficient nahi hai. She gives a list of the problems and then she says, "No aur chahiye." Vipda santuta shashva tatra tatra. So that's how, a devotee, he is fearless. One of the first quality which is mentioned in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is abhaya. Somebody asked Prabhupada, how it feels to be a pure devotee. Prabhupada said, pure devotee is fearless. Because he knows whatever happens, Krishna is in control. Krishna is ready with club in his hand, protecting his devotees. That's what Yamaraj is telling to Yamdutas. Beta, aaj bach gaye ho, next time nahi bachoge. Don't go near devotees. Te deva siddha parigita pavitra gatha ye sadhavo samadrisho bhagavat prapanna tanopasidat hare gadaya vigupta tesham vayam nachavaya prabhavam dande. The devotees of the Lord, they are best of the personalities, worshipped by the devatas, siddhas. Please don't go near them. They are personally protected by Lord Vishnu. प्रभु वो तो अम्बरीश महाराज थे, उनको बचाया, हमको कहाँ बचाएंगे? Krishna protects everyone. So we just that we can't see how the Lord is acting in the life of devotees. That's how we have to cultivate this habit of seeing Krishna's intervention in our lives in each and every moment. When somebody happens in our life, we should see how Krishna is intervened in our life. One devotee was telling they took a yatra, and they were going by bus somewhere, and middle of nowhere the bus stopped. Driver didn't realize the fuel was not there. It was very less. They were wondering, petrol kahan se aayega? This petrol station was far. So then from middle of nowhere, an old man came with a lota. Lota mein kya lega? Pani. So he came and said, I think your fuel is finished, right? Ye lota mein diesel hai. So he gave that diesel, and that was sufficient for the bus to go to the nearest bus stop, petrol pump. So then the yatra was over. Then at the end of the yatra, everybody was telling, "Oh, अच्छा था यात्रा." But प्रभु जी वो किधर से आया वो बूढ़े वाला आदमी? भगवान ने भेजा होगा नहीं उसको, or Krishna must have come himself. So that is how we can see every small thing happening in our life as Krishna's intervention. We can rationalize those things. अरे आ गया होगा कहीं से, But that is a devotional way of looking at it. That's what we have to develop. Keep aside our logical intelligence and rational intelligence. Sometimes we have to use our devotional intelligence. That will make us more Krishna conscious. So that's how a devotee is, always thinking tatte anukampa susamikshamano. That is the mood of a Prabhupada writes in the purport in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu NOD. This should be the attitude of all devotees practicing Krishna consciousness. After this verse, tatte anukampa. So that is how a devotee is. He's always thinking, oh Lord is so very merciful. So Prabhupada writes, as long as living entity is trying to master material nature, there is no possibility of his becoming servant. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from material encumbrances. So that's the power of accepting oneself to be the servant. The first thing is freedom from anxiety. Of course, devotee has to take all anxiety in Krishna's service. One time, Uttam Shlok Prabhu, he was recalling that they saw a huge church in Watsaka, 2nd Avenue in the Los Angeles, and this devotee went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, we have seen a huge church. It will be best to convert that church into temple. So how much they are asking? Prabhupada asked. So this devotee said, they are asking $500,000. Prabhupada said, oh, that's a huge amount of money. We don't want to buy anxiety. So he said, okay. He was going. And Prabhupada said, oh, nice location. He said, yes, Prabhupada. Oh, I'm coming next week to your city. So he was talking on phone. And I'll go to this place. So as soon as he landed, he went directly to this place. And he was going to each and every place. Oh, we can make this a temple hall. This is the Brahmachari ashram, And then he said, he told our Bhavanand Prabhu, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he said, how much do you have in BBT account? He said, Prabhupada, we have $300,000. So Prabhupada said, okay, can you give him $150,000 he had? Can you give him, 150,000? He said, okay, Prabhupada. And then he said, Prabhupada told this devotee, can you arrange for 50,000? He said, Prabhupada, but that's a huge lot of money. All we'll be thinking is how to get more and more money. Prabhupada said, what is the use of buying the anxiety? Prabhupada banged his hand on the table. He said, we should take all the anxiety. Otherwise, what is the use? We'll just eat, sleep and fall down. So devotee should take all the anxiety in service of Krishna. But when personal, Ashalishyava Padaratam Pinashtam, that is the mood which Bhagavatam is teaching us, although it is highest. It is easy to speak. To practice, it takes lifetimes maybe. But that is what we should, at least this is ideal, we should keep in mind. Yahan tak pahunchna hai. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness. And then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, Bhagavatam is a natural personal commentation of Vedanta Sutra. Okay. And therefore, Mahaprabhu has recommended this as spotless Puran. Which verse? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Bhagavatam as spotless Puranam. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam. The proper method for receiving this transcendental knowledge is to hear it submissively. When Srila Prabhupada was going to America, few of the God brothers, they came and said, Swami, you are going to America? I said, no, I am not going. Bhagavatam is going. I am just assisting. Somebody has to take Bhagavatam, right? So I am just going with Bhagavatam. That was the mood. Humble, submissive attitude. Challenging attitude cannot help one to realize this transcendental message. Shu, shru, shu. One should be submissive. Shu, shru, shu. The desire to sincerely hear is the first qualification. So desire to sincerely hear. Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundar. Rukmini Devi says, I have heard about your glories, O my Lord. I have never seen you. So when we hear, when we see somebody in this world, we get attracted. But Rukmini Devi never saw. She just heard. Shaupshrutya mukundasya rupa virya gunashriya grihagatam giyamanai tammene sadrishipati. She heard the rupa, guna, virya of Krishna and she said, pati honge to yahi, shadi karungi to inse. Tammene sadrishipati. So that's how, the more we hear, the more we get attracted. Sincerely hearing. And then Prabhupada, process is simple, but application is difficult. So that is very important. Simple, wahi karna hai, 16 mala, 4 niyam, but roz karna hai. Attentively, that's the most difficult thing. Otherwise, the moment we take bead bag, our mind goes on a 14 bhuvan yatra. And then after few rounds, we realize, now humko mala karna hai. It happens with me, But still, we should try. Krishna is not seeing whether we are chanting attentively or not. Are we trying to chant attentively? If we are not trying, then Krishna will not be happy. Krishna is not so much concerned. Attentive chanting kar rahe hai. Try kiya kya? That is most important. Unfortunate people find enough time to hear idle social and political conversations, but when invited to attend meetings to hear Bhagavatam, they are reluctant. Hundreds, thousands of topics are there to talk. Anybody knows the verse from Bhagavatam? Shukdev Goswami says, people have hundreds and thousands of topics to talk. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that is also there. There is one verse in the second canto which comes. Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nam Santi Sahasrashah. What you are saying is also right. Another verse. People have thousands. That is Vaisam Tirtham. That is the previous verse. Tadvag Visargo is the next verse. So therefore, people are not interested in spiritual subject matters. And sometimes professional readers plunge into the confidential pastimes. Bhagavatam is meant to be heard from the beginning. Again, Prabhupada is writing. Those who are fit to assimilate this work are mentioned in this shloka. Hare Krishna. One becomes qualified to hear Bhagavatam after many pious deeds. So this is how we should always remind ourselves. This is the greatest of the opportunity. There is no extent to our fortune. A person who is grateful will always remain humble. A person who thinks I deserve it, he cannot practice. So it is a great opportunity. Intelligent persons with thoughtful discretion can be assured by great sage Vyasadeva that he can realize Supreme Lord directly by hearing. Now, after describing the glories of Bhagavatam, now he is advertising Bhagavatam even more. Very famous verse, we all know. We'll recite together. Nigam kalpataro galitam phalam shukmukadam ridrabda samyutam Vata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuravo Rasika Bhuvibhavuka. Somebody can read the translation.
O expert in thoughtful being, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Although its nectarine juice is already relishable for all, including liberated souls.
I forgot to discuss the 5 explanations of the first verse of Bhagavatam given by Chakravarti Thakur. Anyways, I think all of you have Subodhini with you? Yeah. Okay, so then we can discuss. You go to the last. Yes, page number 191 in my book. आगे पीछे कहीं पे तो होगा. The last 191, last. After the chapter Bhagavatam gets over, second canto, 192. Yeah. 5 facets of the first verse. Janmadi Asyayatah. So, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given brilliant explanations on this verse, highlighting 5 unique themes. Absolute truth is transcendental, declaring Krishna's form, conjugal rasa, Radha Krishna together, and Bhakti Yoga. So that's how Chakravarti Thakur he is analyzing this first verse from 5 angles. So in the first verse, the first meaning is the simple meaning which we heard, which we discussed, which is there in the Bhagavatam. That is the first translation. Absolute truth is transcendental. Now the second is describing Krishna's form. Janmadi asyataha. After appearing from in the Vasudev house, he went to Nanda Maharaj's house. Anvayadita ratascha. कहीं और चले गए. कहाँ चले गए? To the home of Nanda Maharaj. Artheshu abhigya. He wanted to cheat Kamsa. Artheshu abhigya. Not everyone can know him. And he wanted to establish that Braja Prem. Abhigya. He knew and he wanted to establish the Braja Prem. Swarat, he remained there because of his own people. Although he is ever independent, but he becomes dependent on his devotees. Gopibhi stobhito nrityat. You saw the table? Okay, so I'm reading the second thing. First is absolute truth is transcendental. That we have discussed already in the book. Second is he is describing Krishna's form through this verse. Okay. So Krishna's form and Krishna's pastimes through this verse. Janmadi, after taking birth, what happened? Asya yataha, Asya means in Vasudev's place, he was born. Anvayaditara, he went to somewhere. He went to Nanda Maharaj's house. And then Artheshu, why? He knew, Abhigya. He knew that I have to cheat Kamsa. That's why he went to Nanda Maharaj's place. And he also knew one more thing, that I want to establish the love of Brajvasis, the glories of Brajvasis' love. Artheshu Abhigya. Okay. Then Swarat, Lord is Swarat, but he is saying, I come under the control of my devotees. Gopis tell, oh Krishna, if you dance, I'll give you this butter. Krishna is dancing. Gopi bhi stobhito nrityat bhagwan balvat kvachit. Udgayati kvachin muktas tadvasho daru yantra. He comes under the control of devotees like a wooden doll. Daru yantra. So that is Swarat. Although he is independent, he is Swarat, he comes under the control of Brajvasis. And then Tene Brahmarida, he is that same personality who taught Brahmaji when he stole the calves. So Brahmaji spoke all the 10th canto, 14th chapter. That is all prayers of Brahmaji. Muhyanti at Surya, and Krishna acts in a way which can bewilder even great Devatas and Rishis. Devatas were bewildered, Indra was bewildered. Then Narad Muni was also bewildered. When Narad Muni went to Dwaraka and he saw 16,000 queens of Krishna, and Krishna is there in each and every palace, he was bewildered. Tejo Vari Mridam, his body appears to be like material, but he does not have material body. And Dhamna Svena Sada, he is always situated in his abode, Mathura, but he reveals this form only to his pure devotees. Nirasta Kuhakam, Satyam Param Dhimahi. Let us meditate on that form. So we'll not go into the detail of the other things, you can just read. It's conjugal rasa. We'll discuss the last thing about Bhakti Yoga. So Janmadi Asyataha. So now he's explaining this verse from Sadhana Bhakti point of view. Abhidheya. So Bhakti brings about the appearance of the Lord as Bhagwan. Janmadi, if this Bhakti takes birth in the heart of a devotee, Anvayad Itara, all the other realizations also come. If somebody is practicing devotional service, Bhagwan realization will come. Apart from that, Brahman or Paramatma realization will also come. Artheshu Abhigya. Bhakti is a complete knowledge. Abhigya, a devotee knows everything. There is nothing else to be known for a devotee. Do you have to practice something else also to attain perfection? No. Bhakti is sufficient. He knows everything. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnana. All Jnana is revealed to a devotee. Whatever devotee wants, he can attain by the practice of bhakti. Yat karmabhir, yat tapasa, jnana vairagyaschet, shreyobhir itarairapi. Yat karmabhir, yat tapasa, jnana vairagyaschet, yogena dana dharmena shreyobhir itarairapi. Whatever other paths are there, karma, jnana, dana, dharma. सर्वं मद्भक्ति योगेन मद्भक्तो लभते अंजसा स्वर्ग अपवर्ग मदधाम कथंचित यदि वांछति. क्या चाहिए आपको सब मिलेगा. If you want swarga, you will get swarga. If you want liberation, you will get liberation. If you want to come to my abode, I'll give you that also. And this process is independent. NOD में बहुत पढ़ा है नहीं. Bhakti is independent of all the other processes. All the other processes are dependent on bhakti. If somebody is practicing jnana, if somebody is practicing yoga, so what is the element of yoga, element of bhakti in yoga? What are the various limbs of bhakti? Ashtanga yoga.
Yama niyama.
Where is bhakti in that?
Meditation on the Lord.
Meditation, sadhana, dhyana, dhyan and dharana. That is meditation. That is bhakti. So if bhakti is not there, the yogi will not get the result. Same with jnana. But bhakti does not depend on jnana. That's what is described as swarad. ज़्यादा technical हो रहा है? आगे बढ़े? नहीं.
एक बार और करो please.
Independent.
Yeah. So all the other paths, if you practice jnana or karma or yoga, you have to add a tinge of bhakti. थोड़ा भक्ति करना ही पड़ेगा, तब जाके उसका फल मिलेगा. Even if you are not doing bhakti, then you will not get the result of jnana also. If a Ashtanga yogi is not meditating on Paramatma, he will not achieve liberation. Although this yogi, after seeing darshan of the Lord, he gets attracted to the Lord, but he leaves that form, unfortunately. That is described in the third canto. But without bhakti, it is said that, cultivating jnana is not. That is also this verse. Shemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam. This verse says that if you don't offer the results to Krishna, then it is waste. Shemam, you don't get the ultimate benediction. Yes. And another verse which says that if you are not adding bhakti, the process of jnana is like beating the empty husks of grain. Sthula tushavaghatinam shreya shrutim bhakti mudasya. That is another verse. So that is what is described. Bhakti does not depend on all the other. Bhakti में कुछ ऐसा अष्टांग योग नहीं किया तो रिजल्ट नहीं मिलेगा, ऐसा नहीं. प्राणायाम आसन रामदेव बाबा वाला नहीं किया तो नहीं मिलेगा, ऐसा कुछ है. Anybody can do anytime. It is an independent process. But other paths are dependent. That is called as swarat. So this is the glorification of bhakti. Bhakti yoga. Tene brahmaridaya adikave. This knowledge of bhakti was revealed by Narada to Vyasadeva. Brahmana. Who is the Brahmana here? Vyasadeva. And this bhakti is bewildering even to the great sages. Not everyone can practice bhakti. One person, he asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, because he came to meet Prabhupada and he knew that, Swamiji, he is such a powerful personality. In just few years, he has made a world international society. So he came to meet Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, ये सब आपने कैसे किया? The businessman, he was a businessman. So he thought Prabhupada is also a businessman, थोड़ा business strategy कुछ तो बताएंगे. So Prabhupada said, मैं अमेरिका गया, पेड़ के नीचे बैठा, कीर्तन किया, सब हो गया. नहीं स्वामी जी, और क्या किया? और तो कुछ किया होगा ना, ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? Yes, Prabhupada. So there is something you must have done, right? So then Prabhupada said, नहीं, वो just पेड़ के नीचे बैठ के कीर्तन किया, सब हो गया. So the power of bhakti, it is not understandable by many. So therefore, this is Muhyanti at Suraya. People, and all these Gyanis and Yogis, they say, अरे एक जगह बैठ के मुंह हिलाने से कुछ होगा क्या? थोड़ा जिम्नास्टिक्स करो, थोड़ा प्राणायाम, योगा, कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा ना? You are achieving, you are trying, striving for the highest thing, and you are sitting at one place and doing nothing. That's what bewilders them. Muhyanti at Suraya. But Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo. This bhakti is free from other modes. Bhakti is transcendental. Bhakti never gets contaminated by modes of nature. Although the performer of bhakti may be contaminated by modes, but bhakti is transcendental. Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakokam, and this bhakti defeats its opponents by its very nature of giving direct experience of bliss. Even a child can experience bliss of bhakti directly. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita says direct experience? 9th chapter. Pratyakshaavagamam. Rajavidya. Pratyakshaavagamam. Directly you can experience the transformation. All of us, we can think, oh, the day we started chanting and now Zameen Asman ka fark hai. Our old friends, they will come and say, "Kya ho gaya tere?" My friends, they get surprised. "Kya ho gaya? Theek hai na? Kuch problem tha? Koi thi?" So it bewilders people. Because somebody experiences direct bliss, then they can give up all the other things. Gopis are telling, anybody who has relished the pastimes of Krishna, they become like beggar. Yadanucharit Leela Karna Piyusha Viprut Sakrit Adana Vidhuta Dvandva Dharma Vinashta Sapadigriha Kutumbam Deenamutsrajya Deena Bahava Iha Vihanga Bhikshu Charyam Charanti. It seems, उस समय भी लोग भिखारी घूमते थे वृंदावन. So gopis are telling, अरे जिसने भी भगवान की लीला सुन ली है कानों से, कर्ण पीयूष, Sakrit, they have given up their wretched families and they have become wretched themselves. Deena Mutsrajya Deena, many are roaming like beggars in Vrindavan. Why? Because they have experienced the bliss. Satyam Param Dhimai, let's meditate on that. Okay, so that is what this verse. So we'll continue our third verse. Any questions so far? Okay.
One question not related to this, but many others like yogis, they consider bhakti as a very
Ordinary.
subordinate.
Yeah.
So, do you come across such?
Personally, I am not so unfortunate as of now.
Somebody
Question is, question क्या है?
Question is, have you come across such discrimination?
No, personally, I have not experienced. I have not experienced this type of discrimination as of now. But there are people, Prabhupada is very strongly telling in many places, people say, oh, bhakti means all sentimental. Actually, that's what Prakashananda Saraswati is telling to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes. There is a bhavuk sannyasi, Vedanta part nahi ka tumhara. Why are you not studying Vedanta? So what Mahaprabhu says? Are Guru more murkhat jani korila sashan. He considered me a fool. So Prabhupada handled these problems, these questions in different ways every time. If somebody once a person said, Swamiji, have you seen God? Prabhupada said, what difference it makes to you? Another time Prabhupada said, somebody asked, Swamiji, have you seen God? Prabhupada said, no, you are coming in between. So Prabhupada would give different answers depending on the mood. But yeah, people, they think, yogis and jnanis, they say, oh, this is all sentimental thing, those who cannot do anything else. Prabhupada would give an argument, if this is the easiest thing, which fool will take a longer route to reach a certain destination? Nobody takes a longer route. Everybody wants to take the shortest and the easiest route. So if somebody says that bhakti is the easiest, then why they are not following it? That means they have not understood it and they have not practiced it. So if anybody practices bhakti, they will understand it is not easy. Although it is the easiest of the three, karma, jnana, yoga or bhakti mein se easiest bhakti hai. But still that is most difficult for Kali Yuga people. Why? The qualifications will come in 10th verse. Prayanal Paisha Sabhya. So you will find people, they are just giving excuses, that's all. उनको कुछ नहीं करना है. One person came to Prabhupada and said, are you a follower of Buddha? Somebody asked Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, follow Buddha, follow Jesus, follow something. Don't just speak. Because people like to just question. आप ये भी करते हैं? ये नहीं करते आप? अरे ये करना चाहिए ना? They will not do anything. वो खाली बोलने के लिए आए हैं. Free suggestion. Okay, so this third verse.
Sorry, one more.
Yes.
See, we say that I want to become a servant of Krishna. So, what we should do actually?
सभा बताइए. कोई बोलना चाहेगा? What it means to be, what we should do to become servant of Krishna. सब लोग यहाँ पे seasoned devotee हैं, initiated devotees हैं, सालों सालों से सेवा कर रहे हैं. All of you also should speak. Yes, any thoughts? What it means to become servant? Online वाले भी बोल सकते हैं. मैं हमेशा.
The servant of Krishna.
Sorry?
Serve the servant of Krishna.
और वो the
Then you
servant.
become servant of Krishna.
अच्छा, ठीक है. और yeah, that is also there. Krishna says, no? आराधनानाम सर्वेषां विष्णु आराधनम परम. ये में भक्त जना पार्था, जो बोलता है मेरा डिवोटी हो, मेरा डिवोटी नहीं है. Okay. Anything else?
Mahat Pad Rajobhishekam.
Okay. पाँव धो के पीना है, ठीक है, चलो. और सर पे डालना है. और yes, Prabhu.
The Prabhupada has given us just instruction to go through this process. There is a hierarchy coming from Srila Prabhupada, where his disciples, and the authority. When we follow that authority under their guidance, if we serve the mission, when we like or don't like, and submissively inquiring from them, we will one day achieve that goal.
Okay. So when we follow the authorities, follow the principles given by our seniors, whether we like it or not, then one day we'll develop a right attitude of becoming servant. Okay. Yes, right, Prabhuji. Anybody else would like to contribute? Yes, Prabhuji.
We understand our Swarupa as revealed in Krishna Nityadas. That means we are really liberated. At the stage in which we understand that we are really becoming servant. So when we feel it, I am not yet reached to that stage. So we again das.
So the more we practice, the more we realize Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nityadas, and I am the servant of the servant. Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayu. That is a process of purification. Yes. Anybody else? All are right answers. In Krishna consciousness, all answers are right. Yes. See, every devotee has lots of nectar. ऐसा नहीं कि मैं यहाँ पे मतलब बैठा हूँ और कोई बोलना है. Everybody should contribute. Yeah.
To become a servant of Krishna means we should serve as per the guidance.
Yes.
The Prabhupada means Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. If you do this, I think that we will become a servant.
Yes.
Or that is the service we can give.
By following the
Krishna doesn't
instructions.
require anything else from us.
Yes. By following the instructions of Guru and Krishna, we can learn how to become servant of Krishna. Yes, that is also the right attitude.
We can become a servant of Krishna by surrendering our ego.
Okay, by surrendering our ego. How to surrender the ego? That is the biggest question.
By following the instructions of the devotees and of our spiritual master and of whoever teaches us and the scriptures.
Everybody in this world thinks I know this answer. But if I surrender to what authorities are telling, that is the biggest tapasya, to surrender our ego. I know this is wrong, but still, ऊपर वाला बोल रहा है तो करता हूँ, चलो. It is not going to work. But still, अभी क्या करें, senior है तो अभी करना पड़ेगा. If we do that, then we'll make more advancement. Although we know it is wrong, it may be wrong also. But if we surrender our false ego, although it is very difficult. Of course, if many people are getting affected by the decision, for sure you should talk to some other devotees. But if it is a question of मैं बोला मेरा सुना, then better to surrender. Yes, thank you, Mataji. Okay. So in this third verse, Nigama kalpataro galitam phalam. So this Nigama means that which comes down. Nigama. So that which comes from above to down, that is the Vedas, comes from the Supreme Lord. Nigama. So Nigama, all the Vedas, they are the desire tree. Kalpataru. They are the desire tree. Because if we follow the Vedas, you will naturally get the result of the 4 Purusharthas. Desire tree, whatever you want, you will get. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Anybody who desires any of it, you will get it. There is no doubt in that. So it is Kalpataru. It is a most magnanimous tree of the Vedas. Whatever you want, fulfills everyone's desires. Dhanam dehi, janam dehi, rupavati, bharya dehi, jo bhi chahiye sab milega. In the second canto, second chapter, Sukadeva Goswami gives a list of the devatas. Oh, you want this, worship this, you want this, worship this. Whatever you want. So Vedas give everything, that's why they are called as Kalpataru. And then Galitam Phalam, the ripened fruit of this Vedic desire tree is Raganuga Bhakti. That's what Chakravarti Thakur writes. So we'll be analyzing the verses from Chakravarti Thakur point of view also, and when we'll see the purport of Prabhupada also. So it is Galitam Phalam, that means the Raganuga Bhakti. That is the Galitam, ripened fruit of the Vedic desire tree. And Galitam means Pura Pak Gaya. Now general understanding is, when the fruit gets ripened, it falls automatically, right? So if it falls automatically on the ground, it will burst open, it will get contaminated by the dust and it will not be eatable. But this fruit of Vedic desire tree, that is Galitam Phalam, that is Bhakti, Bhagavatam, it is carefully handed down in Parampara. So therefore it is secured. It does not go waste. It does not get, destroyed. Carefully. That's why Prabhupada would always tell we are coming in Parampara. Because if the knowledge is not received in Parampara, it gets lost. Should I show you a nice video on how the knowledge gets lost? Just for a break. मैंने भक्ति शास्त्र में दिखाया है भक्ति शास्त्र वाले. That's why Srila Prabhupada was very, very careful that knowledge should be handled down carefully and one should receive knowledge in Parampara. Just
Is it audio in there?
yeah, I'll show. Just ऑनलाइन वालों के लिए थोड़ा इसमें सेटिंग्स चेंज करना पड़ता है. Okay, ठीक है. Online devotees, can you see?
Prabhuji, the heads are being cut off on online.
Yes. Okay, I'll show you. दोनों का थोड़ा गड़बड़ है. How it will work. Please, you just for a few minutes. Line devotees.
बोलो ना
गल्ती गर्यो के मेसेज दियो भिडियोमा हेरौँला कोचेर चाहिँ हेर्नु तर मेसेज चाहिँ के पुगेछ अन्तमा भनेर हेर्नु ल अन्तमा मेसेज के पुग्यो देखाउनुहोस् त अन्तमा मेसेज
Okay, that's how the message gets corrupted. Sorry for the online devotees if you could not see.
Prabhuji, we have seen this in Bhakti Shastra.
I know, that's what I have shown this. So therefore, if the knowledge is not received in parampara, it will be lost. If one generation does not read the books, next generation it will be lost. So therefore, we have to be careful that we read, relish, and absorb and give to our younger generation. यही लीला अमृत बिने खाए यदि अन्न पाने तबे भक्तेर दुर्बल जीवन जार एक बिंदु पाने उत्फुल्लित तनु मने हसे गाय करो नर्तने. Kaviraj Goswami says if somebody does not drink this nectar of Krishna Katha, यही लीला अमृत बिने खाए प्रसाद तो भरपेट खा रहे तबे भक्तेर दुर्बल जीवन, devotee will become weak spiritually. If somebody drinks this nectar every day, even little, यार एक बिंदु पाने उत्फुल्लित तनु मने हसे गाय करो नर्तन, he'll be happy and enlivened in the process of Krishna consciousness. So that's why it is kalpata galitam phalam shukmukad. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature, but it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedic literatures. It is the cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. So it is the cream, sar. So it is the essence of all the scriptures. So therefore, with great respect and attention, one should receive the message. And then Prabhupada writes in the next paragraph that why this Bhagavatam is a ripened fruit, because it describes the glories of Krishna. Krishna is Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Nectar of Devotion describes. So Bhagavatam describes all the aspects of this Akhila Rasamrita Murti. How Krishna is so very wonderful. So regulated knowledge, last few lines of the second paragraph. Regulated knowledge involves a gradual raising of the living entity to spiritual platform. And the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that personality of Godhead is reservoir of all the spiritual rasas, all the tastes. So that is what is given in Bhagavatam in great detail. So Prabhupada quotes the 12 rasas, 5 primary, 7 secondary, that he gives in the second paragraph, and the third paragraph he explains the details of rasa even more. Then he says, Vedic hymns describe that Krishna is the fountainhead of all the rasas. Akhila Rasamrit Murti. And then in the next to next paragraph, he describes this Galitam Phalam. It is a ripened fruit. And then he says it is Shukmukad. It is spoken by Krishna. It is spoken by Shukdeva Goswami. It is a fact. I don't know. At least I haven't experienced, but some of the devotees, they were telling that in the village, if somebody knows that ye tote ne khaya hai, this mango should be more sweeter, right? Some of you must have tasted. Yes. So therefore, this Bhagavatam, because it is tasted by Shukadeva Goswami, it has become more sweet. That's why when Krishna would steal butter from the houses of all the gopis, why they would go and tell to Mother Yashoda? Because they personally would make butter only with one intention, Krishna should come and steal it. Then why they will complain to Mother Yashoda? Because they are thinking that this Vichari Yashoda, Krishna never steals butter from her house. She is not able to experience these pastimes. So let us go and explain her so that she can also relish. So when a devotee explains the pastimes of Krishna, it becomes more sweet. That's why the gopis would go and tell Mother Yashoda. That's why Bhagavatam is full of the prayers of devotees who want to hear about Krishna. Prithu Maharaj is telling, give me millions of years. Who else tells like this? Rupa Goswami. Anyone knows the verse? So Prithu Maharaj is also speaking the same thing. Na kama yena tadapyaham kvachin na yatra yushmat charanambuja savaha Mahattamaikantar hridayanu vidhatsu karna yuta esha mevara. I don't want this liberation. Previous verse is describing liberation. Na kamaya. I don't want liberation because there is no way you can hear about Krishna in Brahman. Please give me millions of years. Karna ayuta. Millions of years. So that I can hear about your pastimes. That's why it is Shukmukad. Whenever it is spoken by devotees, it becomes more relishable. That's why Dhruv Maharaj tells, Prahlad Maharaj tells, please give me association of your devotees. Only in association of devotees, I can cross this ocean of material existence very easily. So that is called Shukmukha. Prabhupada also writes. One must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narad Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Vyasadeva. Then Vyasadeva gave to Shukdeva Goswami. Shukdeva Goswami, being a perfectly liberated soul, did not have to undergo evolutionary process for spiritual realization. We all know the story. The moment he was born, he went out. He was actually liberated in the womb also. Vyasadeva had to bring whom? Krishna, to convince him, come out, Bhara. Why you are giving trouble? Caesarean section nahi tha us time. He was there in the womb for 16 years. 12 years, sorry. So Bhagavatam, because it is spoken by Shukdeva Goswami, who is liberated, so therefore it is sweetest. The Supreme Lord's pastimes are more attractive to liberated souls than to mundane people. And then he says, Bhagavatam is appealing to all classes of people. Therefore, please drink it. Please drink this nectar. So Prabhupada writes, so Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami is compared to parrot, not for his ability to recite Bhagavatam as he has heard, but, this is a very important line, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would appeal to all classes. Anybody can speak hundreds of verses, anybody can repeat, but samne kaun baitha hai? If a person in front doesn't know anything about spiritual life and you are discussing Chaitanya Charitamrita, one time one of our devotees in JJ, and now he is a very nice devotee. So when he was in first year, that time Gaurang Prabhu would come. Of course, that is the glory of Gaurang Prabhu. He can make anybody devotee by speaking anything. So this devotee was telling me later, few months back, he was telling me, Prabhuji, मैं first year में था ना, और Gaurang Prabhu आए, मेरे को बुलाया सीनियर बुला के लेके जाते हैं, चलो प्रोग्राम में. I was sitting in the class, introduce किया Gaurang Prabhu है, ये Gaurang Prabhu है, and he has done this, all this. And Gaurang Prabhu, first year lecture, first class, he starts speaking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So he is telling Prabhuji, मैं पूरा क्लास यही सोचा था, अपने बारे में इतना क्यों बोल रहे हैं? So Gaurang Prabhu can make anyone laugh, and he हंसते हंसते devotee बन जाता है. That is expertise. So but Shukdev Goswami, Prabhupada writes, he knows for his ability, he is known for his ability to present according to the person who is sitting in front, so that he can relate to. Subject matter is so presented to the lips of Shukdev Goswami that any sincere listener that hears submissively can at once relish transcendental taste. Ripened fruit is not dropped all of a sudden, it has come down in parampara. Therefore, one should taste. Pibata Bhagavatam. Drink. How you should consume this fruit? It is not to be eaten. Drink it. It is pure nectar. No seed, no skin. Just drink it. Bhagavatam. It is the alaya. When you drink it, you will experience all the ecstatic emotions. And when you drink it, what will happen? You will faint. And what you should do? Get up again, muhu, again drink, again faint. Muhu raho rasika, because you are the rasika. You know how to enjoy this taste. Only a devotee can do that. You are the knower of rasa. Therefore, you are a bhavuka, you are all auspicious. That's what Prabhupada writes. So Krishna is attractive. And therefore, that is represented in Bhagavatam in such a wonderful way that even avatars of the Lord, they were attracted to Krishna. Even Mahavishnu is attracted to Krishna. In the 10th canto, Brahmans' children were getting, they were dying. So Krishna and Arjuna went to Mahavishnu. So that is described. So that's how Prabhupada writes. Okay. So then he writes, the subject matter is so presented through the lips that, we read it. One should be intelligent enough to know the position of Srimad Bhagavatam by considering personalities like Shukdev Goswami, who deals with the subject matter so carefully. So the ability to represent a subject matter in a way the audience can relate to, that is realization. Prabhupada writes in the 4th chapter of this first canto, the definition of, what is the definition of realization? Often used word, realization. क्या होता है?
The knowledge and your personal experience.
Okay,
To experience it, to experience what you have heard.
Okay, to experience what you have heard, that is realization. Okay, yes. Anything else? Anybody?
Completely surrenders to Lord Krishna.
Sorry? Mataji, can you repeat again? Okay.
Be convinced about
Okay, to be convinced about whatever we have heard. Okay, that is realization. Okay.
Jnana Vijnana.
Gyan and Vigyan, practical knowledge. Okay. Yes.
When the knowledge is put into action, that
When knowledge is put into action, that is realization. Okay. Smaranam, Vandanam, Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam is applying. Okay. Anybody else would like to contribute something?
It has to be, the 5 steps given in the Subodhina invitation.
Yeah.
Smaranam,
Smaranam, Vandanam, वही है? No, no. What else is?
then the Mananam, Nididhyasanam, and then the Kirtan.
Okay.
So the realization happens after the Kirtan.
Okay. Yes. Prabhupada writes another very wonderful definition of realization. We can see 141 purport. Personal realization does not mean that one out of vanity.
Page number 141.
141. 4th chapter, 1st verse purport. Prabhupada writes, personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's own learning by to surpass previous acharya.
भक्ती वेदांत ऐकायले 6 वाजता संपते मग करतो
मैं ज़्यादा जानता हूँ.
भक्ती
I know
वेदांत
better than the
ऐकायले
acharyas. He must have full confidence in the previous acharya. At the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstance. What did Prabhupada tell to hippies when he had to tell them what is spiritual world?
Stay high forever.
Okay. Yes. Anything else Prabhupada said? If he had to describe what is spiritual world, he gives a wonderful definition, example.
Higher
Says,
level of
world is the ocean of LSD. That's what they could relate to. That is realization. Present according to the circumstance. Original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it. Yet, it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization. So, realized person means he knows when to speak and what to speak. Not that मैं पूरा अपनी भक्ति शास्त्री करके आया हूँ तो बैठ डाउनलोड करता हूँ तो कोई एक दिन में प्योर डिवोटी बनाऊंगा मैं पूरा JSD कोर्स करूंगा. No, that is not realization. That means you should know. Prabhupada would say you should learn the subject matter so nicely that you can teach it to your grandmother. दादी माँ को सिखा सकते हैं मतलब समझ गए हो. You should make it so simple. That is realization. And Shukdev Goswami, he had realized it. And that's how he presented such a wonderful way that Shukdev Parikshit Maharaj became an enlightened soul. One should be intelligent enough to know the position of Srimad Bhagvatam by personalities like Vyasadev, so deals with Bhagavatam. Okay, we read it. Last paragraph. One should conclude therefore that the serious student of Rasa should receive the message of Bhagavatam in the chain of disciplic succession from Srila Sukdev Goswami, who describes the Bhagavatam from its very beginning, not whimsically to satisfy the mundaner. Srimad Bhagavatam is so carefully presented that a sincere and serious person can at once enjoy the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge simply by drinking through the mouth of Sukdev Goswami and his representative. That is the glory of Bhagavatam. It is very nicely represented. Anybody who reads systematically from the first verse to the last verse, he'll become a self-realized person if he practices it and applies. That's how Mahaprabhu is. Mahaprabhu, he had such a wonderful preaching strategy. He knew whom to give what. When he met Ramanand Rai, he discussed what? Tattva, highest tattva. When he met with Prakashanand Saraswati, he spoke Vedanta. When he met with Sanatana Goswami, he spoke about Bhakti. And when he was preaching to common people, no philosophy, only Kirtan. Dancing. So that's what Mahaprabhu was, expert in preaching according to time, place and circumstance. So these 3 verses, they form the prelude to entire Bhagavatam. So that is what we have discussed. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Any questions?
This phenomenon of the children who are born and immediately they grow up. It happens in the
Sorry, I didn't.
Shukdev Goswami 12 years he stayed within the womb, and then he, after Surabhadra birth, he walked out.
Yeah,
His body had developed not within the womb, but
possibly. Yeah,
after
they may be.
I had heard that in the spiritual, the Vaibhav also.
Immediately they grow up. Just like it is described about, the question is, just like Shukdev Goswami came out of the womb and he was a grown up person, so it happens in the heaven also. So yeah, it is possible. We have heard about Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. As soon as they came out of the womb, they are grown up. When Vyasdev was born, grown up, man. Parashar Muni gave birth, seed to the Satyavati, and as soon as he was born, he was a grown-up person. So that's how in the heavenly planets they have fast, growth. They can become young. Yeah. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Davat pranam.
हरे कृष्णा धन्यवाद प्रणाम
एक मिनट, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही.
Hare Krishna. Davat pranam. Thank you.
हाँ, बोलिए, sorry.
हरे कृष्णा थैंक यू प्रभु जी धन्यवाद थैंक यू सो मच
Thank you. अच्छा, मुझे लगा question. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.